Welcome to Blacktown Sydney. In this Sydney food vlog, we're going on a Blacktown food tour to discover the best international cuisine this area has to offer. This is just some of the amazing dishes available at Radhe Chatpata House in Blacktown. We have a range of South Indian and North Indian specialties here. From the north of India, we have Chhole Bhature, and from the south of India, we have Masala dosa and a Jini roll dosa. And I am just captivated by the presentation of all of these dishes. The dosa in the Masala dosa is made of rice flour as well as urad flour, and it's made into this long crispy crepe which is then rolled up, and inside there's a spicy potato mix, and it comes with a range of chutneys including coconut chutney as well as a sambal, which is a spicy mix of vegetables. I'm going to just take a little bit of this dosa here so you can see it's really paper thin. I'm just going to dip that into the sambal. So the sambal has a nice kick of heat. I can really feel that heat developing in my tongue. And the dosa is so nice and crispy. It's so satisfying to just bite in and get that really crisp crunch. I'm gonna go on the inside. Now in the center here, it's a bit thicker, a bit more doughy. And then you've got inside this spicy potato. I can see big chunks of mustard seed in there, beautiful yellow curry flavour. Dip that into the coconut sambal now. Yeah, so that coconut sambal kind of mellows out the flavours a bit. It's got a nice sweetness, beautiful coconut flavour. It's got a little bit of a chunky texture, which I like as well. It just goes really nicely with the spiciness of that potato. So this is the Jini roll dosa. I really love the presentation, how they've rolled the dosa up, cut it into little portions and stacked them up like this. And then they've got them drizzled with shredded cheese, and they've got some coriander leaves on top as well. Now all the dosas get served with the tomato chutney, the coconut chutney and the sambal. And I am just excited to dig in. So it's called a Jini roll because of the Jini sauce that's used in there. It has a garlic flavouring there. And then there's vegetables like cabbage and capsicum in there as well. The flavour of that is really delicious. You do have a bit of spiciness. You can taste the garlic in there. So you can see in there the vegetables have been layered onto the dosa, and then the dosa has been rolled quite tightly. So you've got those layers upon layers of the different dosa. And the cheese works really nicely with it. It gives it a bit of a tasty zing to the dish as well, a bit of saltiness, a bit of that sharp cheese taste, which I like. Chhole Bhature is from the north of India. It's a deep fried and light fluffy bread which is served with a chickpea curry. I love how light and airy it is. You break it apart and there's just a pocket of air inside. I love how it puffs up. And then you've got this chickpea curry which is garnished with coriander. I keep forgetting, with Indian food, you should eat with your right hand. That is the more culturally appropriate way to eat your food, not with your left hand. John and I are both left-handed, so from time to time we do reach with our left hand, so sorry about that. Hope we haven't offended anyone. This dish is so tasty. The bread is nice and light, and it's got a nice bit of oiliness too, which is really satisfying. It goes so nicely with that chickpea curry, which is mild but flavourful. Another great thing about Radhe Chatpata House is that it's 100% vegetarian. So you can ask for it in vegan, you can ask for it in Jain cuisine, you can ask for it no garlic, no onion. So it really does cater to a whole range of dietary requirements.
I love Indian desserts, and we're going to try their ras malai as well as their jalebi. So I'm going to try the ras malai first. It's paneer dumplings, so paneer is like a cheese, in a sweet flavoured milk. So there's also cardamom flavouring in there, and There might even be rose water flavouring too. I just love this vibrant yellow colour. Oh, that tastes so good. You can really taste that cardamom come out. It's very sweet, not surprising, given it's a dessert. And it's a really nice milky taste. And I think I can taste like the rose flavour there too. And you can see little bits of pistachio and almonds there garnishing the dish. This is just a wonderful dessert. It's really good. Jalebi is a deep-fried, spiral-shaped Indian dessert. It's made out of flour and water or flour and yogurt, and then it's just deep-fried in this spiral shape. And then once it's been deep-fried, it gets taken out of the fryer and they're just drenched in sugar syrup. It's going to be very sweet. And I just love the presentation of this. So they've got almonds and they've got little rose petals there garnishing it all as well. And I think there's even pistachio sprinkled across this too. Oh, it's still warm. The really cool thing about jalebi, that I find anyway, is that you open it up and really crispy on the outside, but then it's gooey and it's just filled with that sugar syrup on the inside. Oh, it is such a great sugar rush. I love this. The Glorious Cuisine is a family-run business. They've been in Blacktown for a bit over a year now, and they have traditional street food dishes from Ghana and West Africa. We've gone with one of their regional specialties, which is the Waakye. There are a number of different elements going on with this dish. First of all, it looks really pretty. It's really nicely presented. The main part of the Waakye is the rice and beans, and the beans are black-eyed beans. Now, rice and bean combinations are such a staple food in so many different countries, and it reminds us of the rice and bean dish gallo pinto back in Nicaragua and Costa Rica. So it looks very similar to this, and it's also paired with a protein like a meat as well. It has a particular dark red orangey colour, and that's from a leaf that's used in the cooking component of the rice. And a couple of other elements of the dish are the beef stew, which is a tomato beef stew here. And this dipping sauce is called shito. It's a black pepper spicy sauce. And this element here is gari, which is a grated and toasted cassava. In addition, we've got some egg and some spaghetti as well. Oh, and we also have a fillet of grilled fish. This waakye is a dish that's typically eaten around lunch, and it can also be eaten for dinner. Now, I've been told that how you traditionally eat it is by mixing everything together. I'm always hesitant to mix stuff that's presented so beautifully. I'll do a little bit. I'm going to mix some of this spicy shito. I'm going to mix the gari in there as well, and put a bit of the beef stew there too. I think it's good to have the shito and the beef stew to a side so you can mix and match based on your taste preferences. The shito is pretty spicy. In addition to that, I think it's made with fish paste as well, so it has quite a salty taste to it. And the beef stew is tomato based, and it's got a bit more of a sweetness to it. So depending on your own preferences, you can up the heat or up the sweetness depending on what you want. I really like this fish. When you bite into it, it's crispy on the outside, and then it's really quite juicy on the inside. And it's lightly spiced as well. It's a really nice taste. And I also find the gari really interesting. It doesn't have too much taste in and of itself, but it gives a really interesting texture when you mix it all in. You can definitely just taste it on your tongue. The waakye was $25, and if you're after a taste of Ghana in Sydney, make sure you come to De Glorious Delights.
Gursha Ethiopian Restaurant has been delighting Sydney-siders for years with its authentic Ethiopian cuisine. It first opened in 2017, and it's a family-run business. The wife is an amazing cook, and her friends were always telling her she should open a restaurant, and here she is today with some beautiful African specialties. So we have here a traditional Ethiopian dish called Kitfo. So it's a raw beef, but you can get it slightly cooked if you want. And it's marinated in a chili as well as clarified butter and spices. It's supposed to be quite spicy, but they have asked us if we wanted it a little less spicy, and they've put some extra chili on the side just in case we do want to up the chili level. It's served with a fermented bread called injera bread. We've got the special, so it comes with a cottage cheese as well as kale, and that kind of tempers down the flavour and kind of balances out the spiciness a bit. So the special Kitfo was $32. So to eat this, you tear off a bit with your hands, you eat with the right hand, and then you just grab a little bit and pop it in your mouth. It's got a lot of flavour in there. I'm not tasting it too spicy, but I think I did get quite a bit of cottage cheese there, which is nice and creamy. The kale is really nice as well, so it's been cooked down and it's really nice and tender. So the injera bread is a fermented bread. It's really nice and spongy. I love the colour of it as well. The flour in it is a teff flour that's fermented, and it's got a bit of a nice sour aroma, which is really quite interesting. So the taste of it works really well with this spicy meat mixture, and then the cottage cheese gives it the creaminess as well. At the half spice level, I'm not tasting much spice at all. If you dip in some more chili in there, you definitely taste the heat. So the chili powder is called netta, and it's a blend of chili and spices. I really like the novelty factor because we haven't had a lot of African food. Ethiopian food is just really delicious. It's really hearty. Now, the other thing that I find really interesting about it is the communal aspect of the eating. One thing that's common to do is to take a bit of food and get a mouthful and then feed your loved one. So here comes the airplane, John.
Oh, wow.
Australians love their coffee. So if you're not aware, coffee actually originated in Ethiopia. So we have some freshly imported Ethiopian coffee. It comes in this whole sensory experience with the incense and this beautiful little teapot here. And it's also served with popcorn, which is one of John's go-to snacks. It's just so fragrant. Oh, that really hits the spot. So Gursha imports their beans from Ethiopia. They roast them and grind them here and make the coffee fresh for you. And if you want to take some home, they also have bags of coffee so you can have your Ethiopian coffee at home. For a premium dining experience in Blacktown, come to Volcano Steakhouse. I love the look of this restaurant, and they had me at robot waiters. This is an amazing place, especially for carnivores, because their menu is very meat heavy. So they've got a meat lockup just behind me, which is a carnivore's paradise. They've got steaks, burgers, pizzas in their menu, and we've come for one of their mocktails. So this is a dark night. It was $13.90. It has pomegranate, mixed berries, and blue curaçao in it. And I love how it was presented with the dried ice to give it a bit of that mist and the theatrical experience. So this is so exquisitely presented. I love the dried roses on top, and then you've got that slice of orange as well. It looks so picture perfect. They're also very popular for desserts here. Their tiramisu is apparently a really good option, and their lunch specials are really good value as well. Around $16, and that's from Mondays to Fridays, 12 to 3. So this is a pretty generous serving size, and I love that they just have all of those berries floating at the surface. Let's take a sip. That is beautifully sweet and syrupy. It's got a little bit of a fizz to it. You can taste the berries. It's got a really rich, deep flavour as well. This is just delicious.
If you're looking for the best pho in Blacktown, come to Pho One. We've got their special beef noodle soup, which is known as pho duck Biệt. It's $15. Looks massive. There's a whole lot of different types of beef in here. So you've got tripe, there's rare beef slices, there's a meatball, there's tendon as well, and then it's all in that hearty broth. And there's shallots in there as well. And as a side, you get some bean sprouts and some basil, and also some lime to drizzle over the top. Putting some basil on, and I will drizzle the lime on as well to give it a little bit of extra tanginess. The broth is cooked for hours. It's a bone broth, and there's a number of spices in there like star anise that gives it a really interesting flavour. You also get a bunch of condiments with it. This is hoisin sauce, and there's chili sauce as well. I was told to get some of the pho and then dip it into the sauce. I was also told I can put some of the hoisin sauce into the broth itself. In our Cabramatta food tour, we had some beef pho, and we were told that we weren't supposed to put it into the broth. So how do you like your pho? What do you do with your hoisin sauce? Let us know in the comments. I'll start with some red beef first. I'm gonna dip it in the hoisin sauce. I really like the sweetness of the hoisin sauce. So it's a really interesting mix of flavours. This tripe looks very interesting. I'm going to try it on its own. So that tripe's really chewy, and I guess it's all about the texture. Now, tripe is not a part of the cow that I usually have, so it's a bit of a novelty for me. So you can see all these rice noodles in here. Now, I'm really impressed with the size of this dish. Just overall, I just find pho a real great comfort food. It's just really, really tasty. And, you know, for $15, it's a very inexpensive meal.
To get to Blacktown, we recommend catching the train. Blacktown train station is about an hour by train from the Sydney CBD, and there are limited trains that stop at Blacktown station. Blacktown's on the T1 and T5 train lines, and there are also regional services which take you from Blacktown to places like the Blue Mountains and Dubbo. Blacktown's also serviced by buses. So John, what did you think of our Blacktown food tour?
Well, I actually found it really challenging. So challenging in the way that there was just so many great options to choose from. When we did our research beforehand, there were so many highly rated restaurants in Blacktown, and it was so hard to narrow it down to just around 10.
I really enjoyed the great range of options available. So you had food from Africa, you had food from Asia, from Central America, and it really did give you a taste of the world just in the one location.
Another thing that I found really fascinating about Blacktown was how many food trucks there were around the area. You were spoiled for choice, and there are some great value options.
So if you're new to our channel, hi, I'm Jay and this is John, and we're bucket list travellers. And we've been doing food tours like this through Sydney, as well as food and travel vlogs from around the world. So if you want to follow us on our adventures, be sure to subscribe.
So where in Sydney would you like us to go to next? Let us know in the comments.
We are bucket list travellers.
See you next time.